Namaste and welcome to this live edition of Live, Love, Engage. I am so happy to be with you today. We're coming to you live on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I also want to welcome those of you who are listening to this on your favorite podcast platform. I'm really glad you're here as well. And I'm really looking forward to an interesting conversation today with our guest. Her name is Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, and she has spent more than 20 years in the education space, dedicating her life towards promotion of child-centric and activity-oriented education. She is a passionate educationist and thought leader who has set up and led New Age K through 12 schools. She's the founder principal of Adamas World School and the award-winning STEM World School, the first STEM school in West Bengal. And she has won numerous awards for leadership and education and was also named one of India's top 50 women leaders in the education industry. And she is joining us all the way from India. And I was just thinking that I think this is the first time I've had a guest from India. So I want to officially welcome you, Dr. Shauli, to Live, Love, Engage.
Thank you so much, Gloria. That's absolutely a pleasure for me. I hope I'm audible.
You are, you are. I can hear you just fine. It's
Yeah.
all good. So I appreciate it. Um, I love to start our show off with getting a little background about our guests, especially for those of you out there watching and or listening who may not have heard of you before. But I, in particular, really love to know why you got interested in the work that you do. And so what is it that about education in particular that really got you to spend a good part of your life in this industry and being able to educate the youth of the world, and particularly in India where you live.
Sure. So, Gloria, right at the very outset, I would like to state that in spite of all the changes and transformations that have happened around us in almost all spheres, there is perhaps one profession which is still considered to be one of the noblest professions in the entire world. And it's perhaps the profession of teaching and the
Mm.
teachers who are still respected and who are still, uh, looked up as role models for the young generation. So, in spite of so many changes, amidst so many transformations, I feel that it is one such profession where, if you are a part of it, I must say that you are blessed to be a part of this kind of a profession. So, well, for me, why it has started in this manner. So, I have actually spent more than 23 years in the sector of education, uh, you know, being the principal as well as the founder principal of some of the reputed schools in India. So, I always had a dream, I always had an ambition and a passion to touch, to inspire, and to impact the lives of many people around me through the ennobling power of education. So that's how it got started off for me, with a lot of dreams and aspirations to meaningfully impact the lives of young people around me. And now, after I have spent so many years in the field of education, I still feel that there are so many things that need to be done. There are so many issues that need to be addressed, and some with significant urgency.
Mm.
Because, as a passionate educationist, I have increasingly felt that there is an increasing need for a real reimagination in the field of education. We
Mm.
speak about education, we all speak about education. We have to understand that it is something which never happens in isolation. It is the collective responsibility of everyone, in fact. And when we speak about reimagination, Well, it's the need of the hour because you see, Gloria, we all belong to the current 21st century VUCA world, which is a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And in this kind of a world where everything is uncertain, everything is like ambiguous, we have to understand that we cannot do with a kind of an education system which has been running for the last few centuries. It requires a massive transformation. And for me,
Mm.
I always say and I always believe that for the sector of education, in fact, nothing short of a revolution will actually work. It's not bringing about minor tweaks or changes in the system, but it's an entire, overhaul. It's an entire revolution that is needed in our current education system.
Hmm. So, can you give us an example of like what do you see that would look like? What would be one way that we could start reimagining education?
Sure. So you have to understand that when we speak about the need for reimagination, why is this need so very significant and pertinent? It's because, see, everything around us has changed. Our histories have changed. Our geographies have changed. Everything has changed. The only one thing which has not changed is the way in which we deliver education. Our current education system is still the essential byproduct of the 19th century industrial revolution, which still continues to promote a one size fits all educational model. It still believes that there is only one right way in which education can be delivered, and all learners, all children, all students are the same. So the same lesson will be taught in the same way and preferably on the same day. So, this is the kind of a model that unfortunately still exists. So, when we speak about reimagination, it is primarily and firstly a reimagination of our mindset. So, unless there is a paradigm shift in our mindset, and we really believe that yes, the need has come, the time has come when this kind of a transformation should happen, then only the transformation will actually start becoming visible and tangible. So, let me just give you an example. Uh, our current education system still continues to give a lot of importance to only one kind of quotient, and that is intelligence quotient. So, everywhere there is a hue and cry about IQ. So, nowhere in our education system is there a focused approach and importance given to the most important quotient, which is the emotional quotient or the emotional intelligence. Though significant research has proved that more than 80% success in your life, be it your professional success or a success in your personal life, actually depends on your EQ and not on your IQ. So, if that is so, then why does our current education system still continues to promote and give a lot of importance and significance on IQ and not EQ? Secondly, if you see, since childhood, the teachers, the educators, even the parents, they give a lot of importance on the spirit of competition, that the child has to come first in everything, be it in academics or in sports or in extracurricular activities or in whatever the child would like to do, the child has to come first in everything. So cutthroat competition is the key. So if you cannot compete, if you cannot come first in anything, I mean, you're good for nothing, right? So this is a kind of, I would say, a kind of a mentality that we as parents and educators indirectly, you know, uh, thrust on our children. Though the two most important skill sets that are required to thrive in this 21st century volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world happens to be collaboration and cooperation and not cutthroat competition. So, if we realize this, that what is the need of the hour, what is required so that our young generation can truly become successful and can lead a very, very meaningful life in the future, and what is required out of them, what are the skill sets that we need to hone and nurture in them. So, we'll see that we are doing all things in a very messed up fashion and we are doing things wrong. So, education, how can education be divorced or how can education be dissociated from the real life experience? So, this, and also there is another mistaken notion that education is something which happens only in the educational institutions, in schools, colleges, and universities. No, education is everywhere, it's a lifelong process. From the day you are born, your education starts. Your first educators are your parents. Then comes your, teachers of your institution, schools, colleges, universities. So it's everywhere. So when we think about a mindset shift that is required to bring about this paradigm change in the sphere of education, it's not only the educators and the teachers who are involved in the system, it's also the parents, because they are your first educators, right? You're muted, Gloria.
Sorry about that. There's a lot that we need to work on, isn't there, to be able to, help our kids. And yeah, I mean, so much. It is so. I love that when you were talking about the emotional intelligence, that is so important. I was actually having a discussion with someone the other day about that. We don't even teach our kids how to be able to have relationships, how to be able to, really, you know, how to be able to talk with people and to be able to uh, really listen to others. And so I love that you're doing talking about this so much. Um, One of the things that I know you are, I guess, a proponent of is lifelong learning. Can you talk a little bit about what we can do to encourage that?
Lifelong learning is in fact, it's a kind of a mindset. First of all, let me tell you. So there is still a kind of I would say a decadent kind of a redundant kind of a mindset which believes that learning starts when you enter an educational institution, and when you come out of that institution with a certificate or a degree in your hand, that's when your formal learning ends. We have to believe that the day you come out of your degree and certificate from that institution, from that day onwards, your real learning starts. Because now you will be facing the entire world in real terms. So, lifelong learning is a kind of uh, mindset which actually involves a lot of unlearning and relearning.
Mm.
So, you cannot continue learning for your entire lifespan in the true spirit unless you are ready to relearn and unlearn a lot of things that you have learned earlier. Now, most importantly, Gloria, it is not only applicable, we make a mistake of thinking that it's only applicable for the students and the learners. It is mostly applicable for the educators. As teachers and educators, if you're not committed towards lifelong learning, well, you cannot pass that vibe onto your students. You can never do that. Because a teacher or an educator or even a parent is a role model. So if you, as an adult role model, if you're not committed towards lifelong learning, if you're not learning at every point in your life, even through your failures and mistakes, then you cannot pass that vibe onto your children. Because education largely happens through emulation. The children learn
Mm.
almost everything and anything through emulation and
Right.
not through lecture,
That's
not
for
through
sure.
information. It's
Yeah.
not, uh, you know, passing on a lot of information from my head to the heads of the children. No, that's not education. That's not education. Education is when your mind is evolved and when you are ready to have a very, very open discussion and debate and dialogues about everything that is concerning us. That's real education. So, in order to
Mm.
open up that mind of a young child, and why do I say opening up the mind of that young child? It's because, see, we have to understand that when a child is born, the child is born with a unique blueprint, with an ability to create a unique world of difference around him or her. And he or she is born with his or her unique talents,
Right.
abilities, interests, passion, you know. The problem is when we start feeling that, they are all the same, and we start, putting them in a box and trying to treat them in the same manner.
Yeah.
That's where we go wrong. They already have that creativity and that innovation in them. Problem is with us because we cannot locate, identify, recognize those innovative sparks in them. And since we are unable to do that, we cannot help them evolve into their very true, their very best, and their authentic selves. So the problem
Mm.
lies with us. We always tend to, feel that our children or the learners, they need to be fixed. No, we are nobody to fix them. They're not to be fixed. They're not broken in the very first place that they need a fixing up. Perhaps what requires a real fix is our own mindset and is our own approach and attitude towards our children and our learners. That is
Mm.
what requires a true and a real fix.
Mm. Yeah. I see your face lighting up when you're talking about this, and it just figured this is a good time as any to ask you this question. So what gets you excited about the work that you're doing?
Very personally speaking, from a very personal standpoint, since I believe that you cannot continue doing a work for more than 20 years if you're not truly into it. And and I'm a kind of a person who has actually turned my passion into my profession.
Mm.
So this is the kind of work which I have always wanted to do, and this is the kind of work that I'm doing right now, and this is the kind of work that I would like to continue doing.
Mm.
So, you know, I believe, Gloria, that there must be a very strong sense of why for each and every
Mm.
one of us. And I would say, it's our duty to ourselves to find out the real purpose behind our existence. See, the very fact that we all exist on the face of this planet Earth is a testimony to the fact that we really matter. If we had not mattered in the true sense of the term, we wouldn't have existed.
Right.
But the real sense or the real purpose comes when you actually introspect, you self reflect a lot, and you try to find out the reason behind your existence in the true sense of the term. Because the world doesn't care about how much you know. The world is not interested in that. The world is rather interested in what you decide to do with what you know. And for that, it is vitally important for each one of us, I believe, to find out the reason as to why we are doing what we are doing. And this is not something, it's not a one time affair, you see, that you ask yourself why you are doing this. No, you have to continuously ask yourself that why am I still doing this particular work? Or what keeps me moving? Or what keeps me going each and every day? So I guess that will actually give you the answer, because there comes a time in the lives of, I believe, everyone, Gloria, that when we feel the need to self actualize our potentials and we try to do something for the society, for the betterment of the society. There is a time in each and everyone's life when we try to achieve a lot on the personal level. We would like to have a lot of achievements, a lot of, social status, standing, and all that. But after all that, there comes a time in our lives when we feel that we now need to give back. We now need to give back to the world in the true and, uh, you know, in a meaningful manner, in a meaningful way. And for me, Gloria, education is one such platform, one such avenue, which gives you an opportunity each and every moment to give back to the world.
Mm.
It's only the educators, it's only the teachers who can meaningfully touch the lives of so many people. See, if in my class, as a teacher or an educator, I have 30 kids, I'm not touching the lives of those 30 kids only. I'm touching the lives of, the family and the extended family members of those 30 kids. So I really do not know where my influence starts and where it ends.
Mm.
So while I say so many nice things about this profession, and what still stimulates me each and every day to be in this profession, to do something meaningful, but I also must say that it's a very, very responsible position. It's a
Mm.
powerful position, no doubt about that. You have tremendous power.
Yeah,
When you can
absolutely.
impact the life of somebody, you have tremendous power. There is no doubt about that. But with this
Hmm.
power, there comes a great responsibility, because we know that we, the people who have really worked on the sphere of, neuroscience, and we know that how brain is impacted through education. We know that a single bit of thing that we may say wrong to a child may have a lifelong effect on the mind of that child. It may have a damaging effect on the mind of the child, which he or she will never be able to recover from in the true sense of the term. So it's a very, very responsible position. We have to understand not only the power, but the roles and responsibilities that come along with this, position that you hold.
Yeah. And, as you're speaking, I'm thinking, and when you talked about that when you're teaching kids and that it's affecting their families, but I mean, it's really affecting everyone then that they're gonna be dealing with for the rest of their lives because as you say, when things that you experience as a young child, sometimes you don't think about it, but it still affects you as an adult because I know I've certainly gone through that. I had some things that I grew up with, situations that I've it's really even just taken me until even most recently, I've been slowly working on this over the years, but really being able to release. And so that I can truly say, well, to give you an example, this morning I was meditating and all of a sudden it came up spontaneously because I've done affirmations before, but it came up and said, I am worthy. And it's like, I finally believe that. And that's been something that has been, for a long time that haven't necessarily felt that. And so it, the responsibility we give teachers, it's so important and they should be. So this is just an aside, especially here in the United States, is that they should be compensated more instead of spending, $350 million for someone to be a baseball player. Um, it's a little insane. Our priorities are mixed up quite a bit here. Um, I want to ask you real quickly and about I'm actually a couple things, but let's see if I can fit this all in. So I would love to know, is there a commonly held belief about education that you passionately disagree with?
Yes, of course. Uh, One is that education stands on very, very important two pillars. And one is conformity, and the other is compliance. So, if your students are complying with each and everything that you are telling them to do, and they're conforming to the norms, the rules, and everything, education is perfect. So this is a kind of a notion, a very, very mistaken notion. It's very unfortunate that till date, our current education system relies on these two important factors, compliance and conformity, and hence gives a lot of importance to the standardized tests. We have to understand that when we are exposing our children to those standardized tests all through their educational career, we are actually expecting these two things out of them, that they have to conform and they have to comply. Maybe there is nothing wrong in conformity and compliance, but if we are only giving importance to conformity and compliance, we are perhaps neglecting another very important dimension, which is creativity and innovation.
Mm.
So if you are continuously harping on the need of conformity and compliance, that if I ask you a question, you have to come up with the correct answer. And that too, there has to be one correct answer. So if this is the kind of a mindset that you have as an educator, a teacher, or as a parent, don't you think that we are actually indirectly stunting their ability to create or to think from different perspectives?
Mm.
So, what happens is that you are actually helping in the process of creation of a lot of people who will be having the same kind of mindsets, who will be thinking in the same manner, they will be thinking in the
Mm.
same direction, they'll have the
Right.
same perspective. That's not real education, because
Yeah.
each one of us, we have been born as a very, very different and unique individuals. So, unless our individualities are highlighted, unless our unique strengths, passion, interest, talents, unless they are recognized and identified, do you think that we can really be, happy, or we can really lead a happy and meaningful life if we all always live a kind of a life based on prescription?
Yeah.
So our life should not be based on prescriptions. It's our own life. So we
Yeah.
have to have, if we are unique, if we have unique qualities, we will be having a unique way of contributing to the world. So the moment you try to put everything and everyone in the same box and start treating them in the same manner, somewhere the uniqueness, somewhere the importance of diversity, that gets lost. We
Yeah.
have to understand,
Absolutely.
Gloria, that human life thrives on diversity.
Hmm.
The basic fact that life around us is so wonderful and beautiful, it's because we have diversity around us. None of us, we possess the same, qualities, same features. We all have been created as different and unique individuals. Why? Because beauty lies in diversity, not in uniformity.
Yeah.
So, problem is we realize all this. But when it comes to education, we give importance to uniformity and not on diversity.
Mm.
That's the problem. We don't try to accept divergent opinions. We never try to believe that there can be different ways of answering the same question. That's the
Yeah.
problem with our education system.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the striving for, and I know part of the compliance is to be able to keep control in a classroom, um, but yeah, conforming is, it doesn't make room for, as you say, yeah, to be able to have creative thought. This is where new ideas for, we have so many problems going on in our world right now. We need to foster creative thought to be able to come up with creative solutions for things, going on with our climate and things like that. So um, yeah, I appreciate all the work that you're doing to be able to, communicate this, and hopefully people who are in ways to be able to make some changes can start doing that. I want to, before we close out today, I like asking this question to my guests to just to see the responses, because I get all sorts of interesting answers. So I'd love to know what you are curious about right now.
I'm curious to find about a lot of creative and innovative ways in which things can be done differently. Because I'm a kind of a person who is always on the lookout for different and divergent approaches. So I'm curious to find out what can be the different ways of doing the things which I have been doing in my life in the same manner.
Hmm. All right. Well, very good. Um, is there anything else that I should have asked you regarding reimagining education that I didn't? Anything else, or any other last point you feel would be good to leave our listeners and viewers with today?
Uh, well, I would, as a concluding message, maybe, uh, I would just like to share something which I strongly believe in. I believe that perhaps it's time already when we have to realize the fact that perhaps we need less IQ and more EQ.
Mm,
Perhaps we need, more of collaboration and cooperation, less of cutthroat competition.
mm,
Perhaps we need less science, maths, and academic literacy and more of emotional literacy. So
mm,
perhaps, the time is right now when we have to bring about these changes. And merely speaking about the need for these changes will not create any change. We have to take action. And another thing also I would like to highlight here is that we often make a mistake in thinking that actions means big actions. No, it necessarily doesn't have to be so. You can bring about very, very small changes, you know, and any kind of positive change will always have a ripple effect.
mm.
This is something that I strongly believe in.
And I'm thinking part of that could be something that, let's say, parents could do, is they could at least do their part in fostering emotional intelligence at home, even if they're not necessarily getting it in school. That might be a good way to do it. And certainly, but I would also encourage anyone listening to this, certainly in the United States, is to go to your local school board meetings and find out what people are doing, and find out what, see how you can implement some changes, and encourage, or at least encourage a dialogue about it, because that's where it's got to start. It really has to start with talking and listening and having an open mind. And yeah, I know we can get there. I do feel that there are more people really talking about this, and so now it is, the next step is to get into action. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing. Um, is there, if someone is listening, has been listening to you today, and are interested, maybe someone wants to get you to interview you, for, or get you to speak. What's the best way that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a person who is very, very active on social media. So I'm quite active on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. So anybody who would like to get in touch with me for professional reasons, so they're most welcome to get in touch with me through my social media handles and links.
All right, very good. Well, thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. I appreciate it, and it's getting late, so I appreciate you spending this time with us and educating us today about reimagining education. So, thank you so much, Dr. Shauli.
Yeah, I would like to personally thank you for inviting me on this platform. It had really been a pleasure and a very meaningful exchange of ideas, I would say, and I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. And thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. And I appreciate those of you who've been watching and commenting. I so appreciate you. And remember, if you receive value out of this today, especially if you're on social media, please share the interview with a friend, leave a comment, and I would, we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.